Listen, I have a question.
I fell in love with Toni.
You never told me.
Bad rumor.
I was expecting,
Who
but I
did
had to
that?
go with
You
your
never told me.
It's so good to see Toni and Birdman sitting together and being together, you know,
I did not
after the little
start
bump
there.
in the road that the social media was trying to talk about them. But just a reminder, I am not planning the wedding.
Dean and Toni, oh, y'all so cute. Look at that. Every woman don't want that hard lie all the time to be swaying on a low every now and then.
Why would I have to be so?
It's putting your guard. I can always oversee the woman that's what I'm gonna do.
But I don't have.
Can you imagine getting married and just 2 days later, you're already filling out divorce papers? That's not some wild reality show script. That's real life for Toni Braxton and Birdman. Yes, the same Birdman who once said, "Put some respect on my name." He tied the knot only to untie himself just as fast. And now Tamar Braxton is out here subtly spilling the tea on what really went down. Before anyone jumps to conclusions, no. This isn't about Birdman's weird on-the-mouth moment with Lil Wayne. No shade. This situation runs way deeper, and it's messy on every level. From alleged manipulation to money move marriages, whispers of Birdman being on the DL, and Tamar dropping cryptic hints like she's leading a trail, the internet is in full detective mode. Something about this whole thing just doesn't add up. So let's break it down.
Okay, you're engaged. I'm engaged. He did good, right?
Well,
Right?
very well.
But there's no date. There's no date. We almost had a date. Well, we had 2 dates, but we were doing Braxton Family Values and we were going through a little drama. And I was like, okay, the wedding is a good thing to get all of our sisters together.
Toni Braxton and the self-proclaimed #1 stunner, Birdman, quietly tied the knot on August 8th, 2024. No announcement, no glam photos, no public celebration, nothing. 1 minute she was single, the next she was Mrs. Birdman. But here's the kicker. When Toni listed their separation date, it was August 10th, just 2 days later. Then, only 2 weeks after that, she officially filed for divorce, calling the marriage irretrievably broken. Like, what even happened that fast? No messy drama, no public meltdown, just cold paperwork filed and done. Divorce in, divorce out, boom, finished. But here's where it gets wild. Months later, Toni dismissed the divorce, and Birdman actually signed off on it too. Like, what's really going on here? Were they secretly trying to patch things up, or was this whole marriage just some kind of stunt from the jump?
Treasured piece of the jewelry, that $5 million engagement rings from Birdman, honey, just gone, honey. So Toni Braxton is trying to get her engagement ring back. Now, one of the questions I want to know is
I know every
That treasured piece of jewelry, that $5 million engagement ring from Birdman, honey, just gone. So now Toni Braxton is trying to get her engagement ring back. And one of the questions everybody wants to know is, what really happened? Tamar Braxton hasn't straight up spilled all the details yet, but baby, she's been dropping hints. And from what she's been hinting at, Toni probably never should have walked down that aisle at all. Let's be real, the Toni and Birdman love story has always been confusing. They've been on and off since 2016, and even when they were on, nobody really understood why. The match just didn't make sense. The smooth R&B queen and the flashy rap mogul, it always felt off.
You all right? Yes, sir. Big Lack, how you doing? Wait, big everything good? My bad. Look, got the whole family here.
Back in 2018, Birdman went full grand gesture mode and popped the question with a $5 million yellow diamond ring. Yes, you heard that right, $5 million. It was headline-worthy, but then nothing. The wedding kept getting delayed, postponed, and brushed aside. Toni said it was bad timing, but fans weren't buying that excuse. They were like, girl, he's not the one.
Never a minute.
So Bird, we got to get right to, the business at hand. You don't do a lot of interviews. Can you talk closer to the mic for me?
Never have.
Yeah, and so...
Then came the ultimate red flag. Toni lost the engagement ring. Not misplaced, lost on a flight. The bag turned up later, but the ring, completely gone, just vanished. And what did Birdman do? He didn't even get mad. He played it cool, like it was no big deal. That's when everyone started side-eyeing hard, wondering if this so-called love story was ever even real in the first place. At this point, I'm thinking, was that ring even real? Because come on, a $5 million diamond doesn't just vanish mid-flight like a pair of cheap earrings. Something about that story never sat right. By 2019, things went downhill fast. Toni and Birdman unfollowed each other, and Birdman hopped on IG with some cryptic, "it's over" type post, only to later claim it was all just for publicity. Seriously. So now the question is, was this love ever genuine, or was it just another plotline for reality TV drama? Because the whole thing is giving scripted chaos. Now let's get into the divorce filing, because Ms. Toni did not hold back. Just 2 weeks after marrying Birdman, she filed for divorce and labeled the marriage as irretrievably broken. That's lawyer talk for this can't be saved. Period. No public arguments, no messy cheating scandals, no social media meltdowns. Just done. Like she woke up after saying, "I do," and thought, actually, nah. But here's the twist. A few months later, she dismissed the divorce like it never happened. 1 minute she's saying, "He's not man enough for me," and the next she's like, "I love me some him." So what flipped the script that fast? Fans started whispering that something major must have gone down behind closed doors during those mysterious 48 hours. Something big enough to turn everything upside down. And honestly, the vibes are way too strange for it to just be a misunderstanding. It's giving cold feet mixed with full-on regret. Another supposed love story that burned out before it even started. But according to Tamar, this wasn't just a random mistake. Oh no, she hinted it was planned. Tamar didn't spill the eye. Whole pot of tea. But baby? She sprinkled enough breadcrumbs for fans to piece the story together. She's been posting and commenting about how too many women settle for safety instead of real love. And in another moment, she mentioned people trying to lock down partners who clearly ain't ready. It didn't take long for internet detectives to connect the dots and say, wait, is she talking about Toni and Birdman? Now, could Toni have said "I do" during a vulnerable time? Maybe she was chasing financial stability, maybe trying to secure her estate, or maybe she just wanted someone who was simply there. Fans started whispering that Toni might have played a smart but shady game, tricking Birdman into saying yes. And the way Tamar's been reacting, it's giving big sister side-eye, like she knows something and she's not saying it. And honestly, when you look at the timeline, it's way too neat. Quick marriage, quick split, quick legal hush-hush. It feels like Toni just wanted that last name and dipped out right after. But let's be real for a sec. We can't ignore the elephant in the room. Every time Birdman's name pops up, people bring up Wheezy F Baby. Yes, Lil Wayne. Those clips of Birdman kissing Wayne on the lips aren't ancient history. There are multiple videos over multiple years. Sometimes it looks brotherly, but other times, it's definitely giving something extra. Now let's be clear. We listen, we watch, and we don't judge. But in the hip-hop world, things like that don't just slide under the radar. When Tamar started hinting that Birdman's loyalty might not have been fully devoted to Toni, the internet went crazy. Suddenly, old rumors started resurfacing, and people began asking the big question. Was Birdman on the DL? Was this marriage a lavender setup just to keep things looking picture-perfect for the public eye? If that theory holds any truth, then maybe Toni wasn't a bride in love. Maybe she was a business partner. Because let's be honest, nothing about that union, not the timeline, not the vibe, not even the silence afterward, felt romantic or genuine. It all felt like paperwork with a side of performance. But here's where it hits deep. Toni Braxton has been battling lupus for years. She's faced major complications, even life-threatening health scares. And when you're living with a chronic illness, things like money, estate planning, and family security become everything. So here's a theory floating around. What if Toni didn't marry Birdman for love at all, but for legal protection? Maybe she wanted to make sure her family would be financially safe if her health ever took a turn. Birdman's got the money, the power, the industry clout, and he was there for her during some of her hardest moments. Toni even said in an interview that every night he'd ask her a question that hit her heart. Are you okay? Are you good? That's what Birdman used to ask Toni every single night. So maybe, just maybe, this marriage wasn't really about love at all. Maybe it was about stability, control, and a little peace of mind. And Tamar's been throwing hints all over social media too. She's basically saying Toni has always been sharp when it comes to handling business. So now the question becomes, was this union about love or about survival? Because when you line up the facts, it's looking a lot like a strategic move instead of a love story. Now let's go back to that $5 million engagement ring. Yes, the one that just vanished. After getting engaged in 2018, Toni hopped on a flight and poof, the ring disappeared midair. She later said the luggage was recovered, but the ring was gone without a trace. Now let's be real. If your fiancé dropped $5 million on a diamond and it went missing, most people would lose their minds, right? But not Birdman. Mr. Gucci suits and pimp towels himself didn't freak out one bit. No yelling, no panic, nothing. He just said, "It's all good. I'll get you another one." And that's when fans were like, wait a minute, something's not adding up here. Because no man just shrugs off losing a $5 million ring, especially when the relationship's already on shaky ground. So people started asking the hard questions. Was that ring even real? Was the engagement just for show? Because in hindsight, that moment feels like the turning point. The exact point when everyone realized maybe neither of them was fully in it anymore. If they ever truly were. But here's the real tea. And Tamar has hinted at this more than once. Toni was never head over heels in love with Birdman. She respected him, sure. She cared for him, yes. And she was grateful for the way he stood by her through her lupus battles and personal heartbreaks. But that deep, soul-stirring, I want to grow old with you kind of love? It just wasn't there, even fans could see it. Toni rarely smiled around Birdman in public, always keeping that poker face. She dodged every single question about the wedding date, kept things super vague in interviews and on Instagram. Her posts with Birdman were practically non-existent, either sparse, deleted later, or mysteriously missing altogether. That's not the behavior of someone crazy in love. Some folks say she was emotionally trapped, stuck between her past with Carrie Lewis, her duties as a mom, and the pressure to settle down with a man who looked good on paper. It's like she was forcing a fairy tale that just didn't exist. And according to Tamar, Toni got caught trying to make something work that was never meant to be in the first place. Let's get this timeline straight. She married Birdman on August 8th and was separated by August 10th. That's not cold feet. That's a full-on sprint out the door. And get this. Sources claim Birdman ghosted Toni right after the wedding. No goodbye, no closure, just gone. 2 weeks later, she filed for divorce. But by then, the damage was already done. And here's where it gets crazy. Tamar allegedly told close friends that Birdman saw something right after the wedding that he didn't like. And that's what made him bounce. Maybe it was a vibe shift. Maybe he realized he'd been played, or maybe deep down, Birdman never wanted to be married at all and just gave in to the pressure. It's giving I'll do this for you, but don't expect me to stay. Some folks even claimed Birdman thought the wedding was just symbolic, not legally binding. So when he realized Toni had filed real paperwork and meant business, he took off fast. Tamar didn't outright spill that part, but the hints were loud. She basically implied that Toni moved quick. And Birdman moved even quicker in the opposite direction. The whole thing screams mismatch. From the start. And then there's the deeper talk, the conversation about how so many women settle for safe instead of soulful. Having a provider isn't the same as having a true partner, and Toni's story checks every one of those boxes. She had the status, the comfort, the image, but where was the real connection? Tamar might be the loudest Braxton, but one thing about her, when she throws shade about family, it usually means something serious is going on behind the scenes. Her comments didn't feel petty. They felt like tough love. Like a sister finally saying, enough is enough. Stop repeating this cycle. And she's definitely not the only one thinking it. Fans have been calling out the red flag since 2018, but every time, Toni brushed it off with the same line. It's complicated. But now, after everything, that phrase sounds less like an excuse and more like a cover-up. And here's where the real questions start flying, because this next part is what has everybody talking. Was the marriage even real, or was it just for the cameras? Because let's be honest, Braxton family values has always been about drama and big reveals. And seriously, what's bigger than a surprise wedding? The whole Birdman and Toni situation always felt a little too produced. No wedding photos, no honeymoon glow, no genuine affection. Just a quiet, we're married moment followed by a loud public breakup that had everyone scratching their heads. And if you look at the timeline, every major relationship update between them just happened to drop right when the Braxtons had a new season or project rolling out. Coincidence? Fans say absolutely not. Now people are starting to think the entire marriage might have been less about love and more about image control, ratings, and publicity. Because let's keep it real. The energy between them never gave husband and wife. It gave co-stars on a scripted show. Some say Toni tied the knot to protect her legacy, maybe even to appear more settled and stable. Meanwhile, others believe Birdman said yes to quiet down years of rumors, especially the ones questioning his sexuality and his friendship with certain rappers. And then there's the wildest theory of all, that the whole thing was a lavender marriage, a mutual setup where Toni got financial and legal protection, and Birdman got a polished, traditional image that made the whispers fade away. Tamar hasn't said this outright, but come on, her cryptic comments and those side eyes tell a story all their own. And let's not forget, Birdman isn't exactly known for keeping things low-key. If this was real love, wouldn't he have shown it proudly? Instead, everything about it just screams PR deal gone wrong. Don't we already